Packers are traveling to the New York Giants, taking the Giants, who Mike Kafka, now the interim head coach, Jameis Winston, now starting at quarterback for the New York Giants. And of course, the Packers are coming off of the last couple of weeks where they've really struggled to move the football, including on Monday night where they struggled against the Eagles in that loss. You want to talk about the Giants or the Packers side of things for this one?
Just in case anybody in his 11th season in the NFL forgot who Jameis Winston was, I just felt like giving the primer on that and making a little graphic about Jameis Winston and how he played last year for the Cleveland Browns, because he was pretty good, to be honest with you. You could argue he was the best quarterback in a Browns uniform last year pretty easily. But it's also still a roller coaster, right? You get a 69.5 passing grade, which is solid, especially when you're talking about a backup, a guy who might play 1 or 2 games here. 9.7 yard average depth of target. That was the 3rd highest in the league last year. So as he's done since we've watched him at Florida State and back in the days with the Bucks, Trevor, he was, going to sling it downfield. That's what he does. That bears itself out with 11 big-time throws in limited work, but also 18 turnover-worthy plays. I think at this point, Mike Kafka's just, if Jackson Dart is not going to play, and it looks like he's not going to, he's looking for a spark in this passing game to just give it to somebody who's not gun shy. Because I think outside of the Cowboys game where they lost by a field goal, that shootout early in the season, Russell Wilson has looked gun shy. You saw it again this past week against the Bears in the 4th quarter. He's just not willing to stand in the pocket and throw the football downfield. So he wants to get somebody more fearless in there who's going to give him a shot. Maybe it won't work. Maybe the receivers will or won't execute. Maybe Jameis will turn the ball over 4 times. But at the very least, you don't just have someone standing back there in the pocket frozen like Russell Wilson has been in most of his appearances this season.
Yeah, I think that Jameis was, in my opinion, the quarterback that was always going to give you the best chance to win. He's the closest thing to what you liked and wanted to do with Dart. This is long overdue, in my opinion. He should have been starting a while ago, even I think maybe even before they put Jackson Dart in there, but it is what it is. So I think that we're going to see at least that their offense give themselves a little bit more of a chance. Is Jameis going to give you a little bit more bad? Yes, but he's at least going to give you a chance to win football games. On the Packers side of things, Dalton, I wonder if their lack of offense really does stem from the issues that they have on the offensive line. And it could be execution on the offensive line, because when you look at the last 2 weeks, specifically when the Packers have struggled, their offensive line's got the 21st ranked overall PFF blocking grade, and they're 19th specifically in run blocking grade, something where they would like to be a little bit more balanced and they would like to be a little bit more consistent when it comes to the run game. So the offensive line overall has struggled. Elgin Jenkins now getting hurt this past game. That's obviously not ideal for them. And I wonder if just the way that they're calling plays, the way that they have a little bit more of a conservative approach than what you thought they would have in the passing game. I just wonder if it stems from the fact that and when I say they, I mean Matt LaFleur, doesn't trust their offensive line. He just doesn't trust them to have a lot of protection, a lot of time for Jordan Love, because I think there are moments when Jordan Love shows you he's still got the arm, he's still got the ability to attack deep down the field, but it just doesn't seem like that's a major part of the Packers' passing attack. And so the offensive line has to bounce back in this game, in my opinion. And it's a tough week going up against a really talented Giants defensive line, but if they're going to go out there with that same sort of game plan to protect the offensive line, I don't even know if they're going to beat the Giants. And the Giants are obviously really struggling this season, as they have fired Brian Daboll already in the middle of the season. So I think the Packers do bounce back. It's too much talent, in my opinion. I think they're going to figure it out. I think they've looked at the last 2 weeks. They're going to go into the lab, and the defense has been playing really well. Jeff Hafley has that defensive side of the ball playing really, really well. I think that's going to still be a factor here against Jameis Winston. And on the offensive side of things, I just believe that it's going to be better. I believe that they're going to figure things out. I believe that the offensive line is going to be a little bit more cohesive. And I think that the Packers are going to have a better game against the Giants than they have over the last couple of weeks. Just maybe it's because ignorance is bliss, just betting on the talent that they have, but it's got to look better than what it has over these last couple of weeks. So I'm going to still take the Packers in this game. I'm going to take the Packers 24, the Giants 17. I think it'll be close-ish. I think that's right around where the line is, with the Packers being favored by 6.5. But I just think that it's got to look better than what it has over the last couple of weeks, just by default.
Yeah, I think the interior really is the issue right now. When you've got Jenkins is going to be out for a while with the leg fracture. You've got Jordan Morgan, who has always been a question whether or not he can play guard. Now it looks like he's just going to be the full-time right guard with Sean Ryan moving into center. Aaron Banks, the expensive free agent there at left guard, has not been great at 53.5 PFF grade. So I think it's that interior against Dexter Lawrence this week that really would be a concern for me when you talk about the Packers trying to run it between the tackles. But I'm also worried about the Giants offense, and with Jameis Winston or Russell Wilson, whoever at quarterback, I'm actually worried about how that affects their run game, because they were so much better at running the football with Jackson Dart on the field as an option threat. The design game, the scrambling, you're just not going to get that out of either of these other two quarterbacks, no matter which one is playing. So I'm a little worried about how the Giants are going to manufacture things in the run game this week. Maybe they get a little more vertically out of Jameis Winston, but I don't know that they're going to be two-dimensional. I like the Packers defense as the best unit on this field. Green Bay 20, New York 13.